Guys, we are going to talk about fractions today. So we call a whole shape whole if it's not divided into any smaller parts. So for example, we have a whole circle and a whole rectangle. You can think of that as like a big pizza or something like that. Then to divide a shape into two equal parts, it creates two halves. So 2/2 of a circle and 2/2 of a rectangle right there. You can also divide a shape into 3 equal parts, creates 3/3. So here we've got 3/3 of a circle and 3/3 of a rectangle. You can also divide a shape into 4 equal parts, which creates 4/4. So here we've got 4/4 of a circle and 4/4 of a rectangle. Let's look now. If we divide a shape into 2 equal parts, we call them 2/2. If we divide it into 3 equal parts, we call it 3/3. And if we divide it into 4 equal parts, we call it 4/4 to make that whole. What do you call the parts of the shape divided into 3 equal parts? Thirds, that's right. Thirds is correct. The circle and the rectangle are divided into 2 equal halves. Here we go. How many parts does the circle have? 2 is correct. And how many parts does the rectangle have? 2 is correct. So same thing, halves are 2. Circle has 2 parts and a rectangle has 2 parts. The circle and the rectangle are divided into 2 equal halves. The whole circle and the rectangle have 4/4, 2/2, 5/5, or 3/3. You're correct. 2/2. The circle and the rectangle are divided into 3/3. The whole circle and the whole rectangle have 2/2, 4/4, 3/3, or 5/5. 3/3. 3/3. So to make that whole, 3/3 makes one whole. The circle and the rectangle are divided into 3/3, and we just went over that. The circle and the rectangle are divided into 4/4. How many parts does the circle have? The circle has 4 parts, and the rectangle has 4 parts. 4 equal parts. So circle has 4 parts, and rectangle has 4 parts. The circle and the rectangle are divided into 4 equal parts. The whole circle and the whole rectangle have 4/4. Good job, 4/4. Now click on the circles that are divided into halves. Halves, remember, halves are 2 parts. So we're looking for 2 parts here. This has 3, this has 4, this has 3, and this has 3. Hey, rock on. Doesn't matter where it's divided at. Doesn't have to be straight across or up and down or to the side. It just has to have 2 equal parts. Into thirds, to click on the circles that are divided into thirds. So thirds, again, is 3 equal parts. Okay, click on the rectangle that's divided into halves, 2 parts. Here we go. Click on the rectangles that are divided into thirds. So we want 3 equal parts. Oh, look here, it's got 3 parts, but are those equal? They are not. So we have to be very careful with making sure that we're getting all of those are equal parts. What is the circle what is the circle divided into? So it's got 2 parts, so we say that is halves. We got it right. What is this rectangle divided into? It's got 3 parts, so we call it thirds. And what is the circle divided into? 4 parts. so we call it fourths. And last one, what is the rectangle divided into? 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, so we call it fourths. Good job with your fractions. We're going to continue to work on fractions this week.